It started with a phone call, just a simple, routine call to my dad. I needed to check on some car title paperwork. Nothing serious, just another quiet errand I was handling for him. Like I always did. He said he'd look for a folder in the garage and put the phone down. But he didn't hang up. He just left the phone on the coffee table. Maybe didn't even notice it was still connected. At first, there was silence. Then, the sound of footsteps. A couch creaked. And then I heard his voice, clear, sharp, and cold. "She's a burden," he said. "A disappointment. Should have never been born." I didn't move. Not at first. I just sat there. Phone pressed to my ear like a child eavesdropping behind a closed door. My body froze while my brain tried to catch up with the words. He wasn't angry. That's what got me. He wasn't yelling or venting. He was calm, just speaking as if it were a casual fact. I think he was talking to my mom. Maybe to himself. It didn't really matter. The words landed the same. A burden, a disappointment, an accident they wished had never happened. For 6 years, I'd been covering their expenses. Their mortgage shortfalls, credit card debt, utility bills, things they never told anyone about. I paid without question. I never once brought it up or held it over their heads. Even that very month, I had sent $2,100 to cover their insurance premiums. My dad couldn't work because of a back injury. I understood. I supported. But apparently, none of that mattered. To them, I was still a mistake. I didn't hang up. I just let the call run. Long past the point where they realized it was still connected. I heard the microwave beep, casual laughter in the background, and the familiar creak of a kitchen drawer. It was domestic life as usual, as if they hadn't just gutted their only daughter with a few offhanded sentences. Eventually, the call disconnected. Maybe he noticed. Maybe the battery died. I don't remember. What I do remember is that I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even speak. I just sat there, staring at the window, trying to figure out if it could give me an answer. Something, anything, but it stayed as blank and indifferent as their voices had been. I don't know how long I stayed like that, staring. Silent. Still. Time moves differently when your heart breaks without a sound. The next day, I went to the bank. Not out of revenge. Not yet. I just needed to understand my options. I checked the mortgage on my home, a house I'd worked for. Dreamed of. It was nearly paid off. The last appraisal had it valued at $870. Suddenly, I realized something I hadn't let myself consider before. I had options. I had quiet power, and no one knew it but me. I scheduled a meeting with my real estate lawyer. I asked about transferring titles, how to create shell trusts, what privacy protections existed for owners who wanted to disappear. I didn't flinch when he told me how much I'd net from a private cash sale. Every step felt mechanical, like assembling a machine I didn't fully understand, but needed to finish. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. Not my friends. Not my coworkers. Definitely not my family. I continued life like normal. I smiled at neighbors. I sent a polite "have a great trip" text when my parents left for Europe. A trip I had partially helped them afford after they overextended themselves refinancing the house last fall. Then I began to pack. Quietly. Efficiently. Room by room. Piece by piece. I listed the property. I handled the paperwork. I sold furniture. Donated what I didn't want. I transferred the deed to a trust. I changed all my forwarding addresses. I closed every account they might recognize. And I vanished. Let them sip wine in Rome. Pose in front of the Eiffel Tower. Toast themselves in Lisbon. Let them enjoy every moment of their vacation while the house they believed was still theirs emptied out behind them. When they finally came back, sunburned, smiling, rolling their luggage up the familiar driveway, they found the lock wouldn't turn. The key didn't fit. The lights were off. The driveway was bare. There was no car in the garage. No porch light flickering to welcome them home. And then they saw it. A single yellow sticky note taped to the front door. Written in black Sharpie. Clear and unmistakable. Surprise. This is what a burden can do. That was all. I didn't leave my name. I didn't need to. The mailbox was gone. The alarm system deactivated. The monogrammed towels I gave them last Christmas? Donated. Every family photo that once hung in the hallway? Removed. The place was sterile, clean, and quiet. Like they'd never lived there at all. After the call, I didn't seek revenge. Not yet. It wasn't about payback. It was about clarity. That call didn't just hurt. It exposed something I had been too loyal to see. I had been holding up a house that was never mine. A life that was never meant to include me. I went back through every financial statement, account, and login. I checked the mortgage balance on my home. The number blinked back at me like a promise. Just shy of paid off. The last appraisal said the property was worth $870. I had more power than they knew. That's when I contacted my real estate attorney. We met in a quiet office on the 15th floor, surrounded by glass and silence. I asked questions I never imagined I'd ask. How do I transfer a property quietly? How do I ensure I'm untraceable? How do I disappear, legally? He walked me through title transfers, shell trusts, private LLCs, non-disclosure protections. I nodded at every step. I didn't flinch when he showed me what I'd net after a private sale. None of it felt real. But I knew it had to be done. This was no longer about one conversation. It was about 6 years of financial servitude wrapped in guilt and disguised as love. So I built the plan. I didn't tell a soul. Not my coworkers. Not my neighbors. Not even the friends who had watched me write $2,100 checks month after month without ever asking why. I kept showing up to work. Smiling. Doing everything the same, outwardly. Inside, I was dismantling my life piece by piece. And they had no idea. While my parents packed for their European vacation, a luxury they could afford thanks to my quiet monthly contributions, I booked movers under a different name. I scheduled furniture donations. I printed out cancellation forms for every shared utility account. I let them think I was where I always was, holding everything together. They boarded flights to Rome. I packed boxes. They posted selfies from Paris. I changed the deed. They clinked wine glasses under Venetian chandeliers. I signed over ownership to a trust they couldn't trace. Every box I sealed felt lighter than the one before. Every cabinet I emptied felt like fresh air. I wasn't erasing history. I was releasing myself from it. The house went on the market as a private listing. Within 3 days, I had a buyer. Cash. No contingencies. Just a wire transfer and a date. The new owners didn't ask questions. I didn't offer answers. I closed every account tied to that address. Utilities, internet, security systems. The mailbox was removed. My name was scrubbed from every document I had once added it to out of convenience or guilt. And when everything was done, everything, only one thing remained. The note. I stood in front of the door that I once unlocked every evening after work. The place I had dreamed would be my forever home. The one I let them believe was partly theirs. I peeled the back off a yellow sticky note and pressed it gently to the wood. Written in thick black ink. Just 6 words. Surprise. This is what a burden can do. It felt final. I left nothing behind. Not a fork. Not a photo. Not even a curtain rod. Everything that tied me to them had been sold, donated, or deleted. I didn't leave a forwarding address. Not because I was angry. Because I was done. They were still posting photos from Europe, unaware of what was waiting for them at home. My mother smiling in a beret, captioning it, "Family First." My dad standing in front of a cathedral with a glass of champagne and the ring I bought for their 35th anniversary. No thank you. No acknowledgement, just entitlement. They had no idea the locks had already been changed. No clue the deed hadn't been in their names for over a year. I had moved everything in silence, every wire, every signature, every goodbye. I didn't do it to hurt them. I did it to free myself. And when they finally returned, jet-lagged, tan, wheeling designer luggage through customs, they smiled. They believed everything would be exactly as they left it. That I would be waiting in the same quiet space. Still reliable. Still available. Instead, they found a locked door, a missing mailbox, and a sticky note that didn't ask for understanding. It just said the truth. They hadn't just lost access to a house. They'd lost access to the one person who had kept their lives from falling apart for 6 years straight. There was no confrontation, no dramatic scene, just silence. And behind that silence, a clean break. A woman who had finally stepped out of a role she was never meant to play. They landed on a Thursday. I knew the exact date. I'd been tracking it, not out of malice, but with quiet precision, like a meteorologist watching the path of an incoming storm. Not because I feared it, but because I needed to know when the echo would hit. Their last Instagram post had gone up that morning, a boomerang of wine glasses clinking under glittering Venetian chandeliers. The caption read, "Family first, always." I didn't even flinch. By the time their plane touched down, the house was gone, sold, emptied, transferred, but they didn't know that yet. They wheeled their luggage down the terminal, probably thinking they'd walk back into the life I had paid for and maintained like a silent janitor for the past 6 years. Instead, they pulled up in an Uber to a driveway that was bare. No car, no lights, just silence. They tried their keys. They didn't fit. I pictured it all so clearly, my dad, puzzled, jiggling the lock like it might magically obey. My mom, frowning, trying hers next. Then both of them standing in growing confusion, hoping someone else would explain it. And then they saw it, the sticky note. Yellow, cheap, ordinary, taped squarely in the center of the door. Surprise. This is what a burden can do. No name, no signature, just the truth. I had taken everything, not out of spite, but because it wasn't theirs. They stood outside for a long time. Neighbors watched from behind blinds. No one helped, no one interfered. Eventually, they left, but they didn't go far. That evening, the calls started. First, it was confusion. Hey, we're locked out. Can you check the alarm system? Then came the slow realization. Is the garage code changed? Did you do something with the Wi-Fi? Then panic. Why is your number disconnected? Why is the furniture gone? They called every sibling, every cousin. My sister messaged me from a different number. Are you serious? What's going on? Are you okay? I didn't answer. I watched the notifications roll in, texts, voicemails, even emails. My mother called my work line, the one no one uses. Her voice was shaky, brittle, barely holding itself together. Please, just tell us what's going on. We're at a hotel. The house it's empty. The neighbor said a moving truck came last week. Was that you? Did something happen? Yes, something happened. I heard you. I kept that voicemail, not because it made me feel powerful, because it reminded me that even after calling me a burden, they still expected help. That voicemail was their instinct, their default setting. Turn to me when things fall apart. That was the moment something inside me fully broke. Because they didn't miss me. They missed the safety net. They didn't cry because they lost their daughter. They cried because the money was gone. I gave them 6 years of quiet loyalty, $2,100 a month. Every month. And they gave me silence, judgment, expectation. They had erased me from every meaningful family moment. But now they wanted me back, not as a person, but as a plan. I opened the last financial portal, the one they forgot I had access to. It was a joint savings account I had created years ago for emergencies. It had $12 in it, mostly mine. One click, I transferred the entire balance to a private trust. Then I closed the account. Gone. Next, I looked at the insurance policy on the house. It was still in my name. They had never bothered to change it. I called the company, canceled the policy, and notified them of the property transfer. I watched the confirmation email hit my inbox. One more tie. Cut. Later that day, my dad sent me an email. No subject line, just 600 words of half blame, half pleading. He said I misunderstood, that when he said I was a burden, he meant the situation, not me, that things were said out of context. Then, he asked if I could help them find a lawyer. Said the new owners had changed the locks illegally. I nearly laughed. Illegally? They had no idea the house hadn't been in their names for over a year. I had transferred the title to a shell trust through my accountant. That trust owned the LLC that sold the house for cash. It was layered, protected, untouchable. They weren't just locked out of the house. They were locked out of me. By day 3, my sister tried again. She texted, "You're really going to do this to mom and dad? After everything they've done?" That line stuck with me. After everything they've done. Did she mean the birthdays I spent alone while covering their mortgage? The holidays they skipped inviting me to, while I still sent gifts and paid bills? The therapy I funded so mom could process her stress, which, in hindsight, was probably just the stress of having me around? I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my estate planning file. 2 months earlier, I'd started the paperwork, removing my family from all emergency contacts, insurance beneficiaries, and financial authorizations. That Friday, I submitted it all. By Monday, it was finalized. They were legally locked out of everything. No more fallback plan, no more access, no more crutch. They didn't just lose a house. They lost the only person who ever kept them afloat. And I had made sure they felt the difference. Not with anger. With absence. After I filed the estate documents, everything went quiet, for a moment. But I wasn't finished yet. There was one more thread left. The storage unit I had been paying for quietly for years. It held my parents' old boxes, keepsakes, heirlooms, furniture they'd promised to come get soon. They never did. I gave the unit company 30 days notice. No extension. No warning. A formal legal eviction letter was delivered the next Tuesday. Panic followed. They messaged the company claiming it was a mistake. It wasn't. I had the receipts. The lease was in my name. I paid every month without question, for their stuff. And now I was done. I sold everything I had bought for them over the years. The velvet couch, the antique sideboard, the overpriced coffee machine they used to joke was too fancy but insisted on taking anyway. I listed it all online. Watched the items disappear one by one. Every lamp, every chair, every reminder of what I gave without thanks, gone in 48 hours. When the PayPal balance cleared, I made one final transfer to my personal account. No note, no explanation, just peace. The family group chat went silent after that. No more passive-aggressive memes. No more guilt-laced messages disguised as jokes. Just nothing. My mother's last post on social media was an old photo of me. Maybe 8 years old, smiling beside a birthday cake. Her caption ended with, "You always were so sensitive." It didn't sting. It confirmed everything. Because I wasn't sensitive. I was finished. They tried to come back, of course. 3 days later, they returned with a locksmith. But by then, the house was fully protected. Locks replaced. Mailbox removed. The deed buried under corporate layers they couldn't begin to untangle. The locksmith refused to break entry. The property wasn't in their name. They stood in silence. I know because I was there, 2 blocks away. Parked under a dying elm tree in a car they wouldn't recognize. Engine off. Just watching. My dad stepped out first. He looked smaller, older. My mom didn't say anything. She just stared at the house like it owed her an apology. It didn't open. After 10 minutes, they left. The Uber pulled away. The porch light stayed off. That silence, that final, absolute silence, was the real ending. No shouting in the driveway. No last-ditch arguments. No pleas for forgiveness. Just the quiet truth. They had lost access to the only person who ever kept their world from falling apart. They didn't cry because they missed me. They cried because the money was gone. Because the backup plan had burned itself to ash and walked away. And to be fair, I built that net. I made it strong. I filled it with love and hope and second chances. But care without respect always collapses. They didn't lose a daughter. They lost their safety net. And I made sure they felt every inch of the absence. I deleted every family chat, every thread, every photo album, every shared Google Calendar they once used to plan holidays I wasn't invited to. No goodbye, no warning, just deletion. A few days later, I got a letter, not handwritten, not even signed, just a folded sheet from a paralegal, something about misunderstandings and potential estate clarification. I didn't open it. I dropped it straight into the shredder and went back to my tea. 2 days later, my old neighbor texted me. Your parents came by again. Looked confused. Just stood in the driveway like this wasn't years in the making. I blocked the number. They stopped calling after the second week. I think that's when it finally sank in, not just that they'd lost access to the house, but that they'd lost access to me. Completely. My sister tried one last time. She texted from a different number. Are you really never going to speak to us again? No greeting. No apology. Just disbelief. Like it was impossible that I could live without them. I didn't reply. Instead, I went for a walk. The air was cool that evening. Sharp with the scent of rain still in the grass. I passed by stores I used to run errands in for them. The pharmacy where I picked up mom's prescriptions. The bakery where I bought cakes no one thanked me for. Now, they were just buildings. No guilt. No obligation. No weight. I breathed. It felt like my first real breath in years. There's something people never understand about the quiet one, the fixer. The helper. The one who never makes waves. They think we'll always keep doing it. That silence means agreement. That absence of protest is permission. But silence isn't peace. Sometimes, it's planning. And now, they rent a condo on the edge of town. I saw it listed once when I was looking for apartments last year, cheap flooring. Dim lighting. Street-facing windows. I wonder if they ever look out and ask themselves where it all went. I wonder if they remember the sticky note. Surprise. This is what a burden can do. They don't post much anymore. My mom used to flood her feed with brunch photos and family-first captions. Now, it's just quiet quote reposts. One of them read, "Don't burn bridges." But they don't realize the bridge was never theirs. They were just standing on it while I built the road underneath. And when I walked away, the whole thing collapsed. My bank account is quiet now. No surprise withdrawals. No auto payments for electric bills I don't use. No Venmo pings from people who only say hi when rent is due. The money stays. It stacks. It grows. It's mine. I moved into a smaller place. Not louder. Not bigger. Just mine. Every lamp, every chair, every curtain was chosen by me, for me. No guilt sewn into the fabric. No debt in the walls. Just space. Just peace. Just ownership. I sleep deeper now. The dreams don't wake me with, "Did I forget to send the money?" Or, "Will she be mad if I say no?" Those voices are gone. Some nights, I still hear the call. The one where you forgot to hang up. She's a burden. A disappointment. Now I let it echo. I don't fight it. I don't explain. I don't defend myself to ghosts. I just remember that house. That silence. That note. And I go back to sleep.